Your Excellencies, Governors, distinguished President of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Board of Directors and staff, delegation to the 2022 annual meetings, and all Africans, good morning. The delegation of Angola, it's honored for attending to the 57th annual meeting of the African Development Bank. First, I would like to convene my appreciation to President Adesina, African Development Bank Group board members, management, and staff for deep and successful effort you all have been doing for the continent to develop and progress. For all of us African countries, AFDB is for sure a strong partner concerning the development of the African continent. Africa is faced with many challenges, but more than that, and more important than the challenge that we need to face, is that we have AFDB to make Africa stronger. The African nations have been facing, as I mentioned, major challenges. Climate related challenges is one of those. In recent years, due to many extremely impactful events related to that. However, at the same time, we are still determined to overcome them. The challenges present an opportunity to do more and better, to achieve sustainable, efficient, inclusive, and resilient economies with the SDGs and ESG standards and allow carbon footprint. Today, I would like to focus our message on the need to mobilize resources for climate change mitigation and adaptation in Africa. Climate change are already a reality, but we still have the choice to manage it. Africa is still facing challenges to increase its productive capacity and diversify its economy. And the economic sectors with the most potential for diversifying the African economy are also the most exposed to climate change: agriculture, fisheries, and light industry. This is a very concrete translation of the macroeconomic implications resulting from climate change. Due to climate change, our countries have suffered from floods, destroying capital and disrupting production in urban sectors. Our crop yields are also affected, causing lower agricultural productivity. The temperature is higher, and we have to deal with stronger heat, affecting labor productivity, human health, and human capital. And I cannot fail to mention the scarcity of water, which could lead to lower productivity in the energy sector. All this should drive all of us to think together on a climate resilient growth path, which involves promoting investments to strengthen resilience in the sectors that will drive sustainable growth, such as agriculture, fisheries, energy, and water resources. Building green and resilient cities to create jobs in the industry and services sector, rapid development and protection of African human capital through the adoption of stronger public policies that enhance resilient health, education, and sanitation services, as well flexible social safety nets in our countries. Optimize the use of fuel resources is also something that we need to address, such as oil and gas, while adopting policy measures to minimize greenhouse gas emissions in our production chains to expand potential markets. To overcome the significant risks of our African countries suffers from climate change, we should be in a unique voice to promote the strengthening of the AFDB capacity to play a stronger role in the continent. And we also need to keep calling a balanced approach that prioritize adaptation support, such as in the water sector, including air and water pollution, deforestation, climate smart agriculture, waste management, and climate proofing of infrastructure projects with great focus on energy efficiency. The government of Angola recognizes the country's vulnerability to climate change and is aware of the impacts coming from it. We have been facing droughts in some provinces, especially in south part of the country. And we already feel the relatively higher temperature coming from that. In this context, Angola wants to be part of the solution, showing its commitment for adaptation and mitigation efforts, as well for optimizing emissions, without leaving behind our ambition of industrialization and economic development. Angola is committed to take part in the aspirations set at international level to fight against climate change, thus contributing to global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For this, Angola's nationally determined contribution encompasses, for mitigation and adaptation purposes, both unconditional and conditional measures for the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions and adaptation of its territory and population to the adverse impacts of climate change. The National Climate Change Strategy aims to integrate the 17 Sustainable Development Goals formally adopted in September 2015 in the different sectors of the Angola economy and society, giving rise to the development of the National Emissions Plan and the National Plan for Adaptation to Climate Change. Climate change adaptation and a smooth transition to renewable sources of energy be a top priority for the continent. That being said, I would like to mention that Angola counts with the support of the African Development Bank and other international partners to address these two issues. Furthermore, the bank has contributed immensely for the development of Angola. The energy sector has two projects financed by the African Development Bank in the total amount of $531 million. dollars. In agreement with this year theme of the annual meetings, I would like to mention that the bank is supporting the government of Angola with the implementation of a renewable energy program, which will be a key driver to unlocking the country potential for clean energy, as it has the objective of creating a regulatory and legal framework for renewable energy in one of its components. And it also supports capacity building for the sector following international standards. In addition, I would like to take the time to inform you on our recent macroeconomic developments. In order to restore the macroeconomic stability framework that existed before the 2014 oil shock, the government of Angola implemented, as of 2018, a package of stabilization measures and coordinated policies contained in the macroeconomic stabilization plan and the standard fund facility program, EFF, completed at the end of 2021 with the IMF. We are already feeling the positive effects resulting from the policy responses and reforms adopted by the government in terms of macroeconomic macroeconomic and growth recovery, as we saw in 2021, the GDP growth rate of 0.7%. And for 2022, it is projected that GDP will reach a real growth of around 2.4% under the budget. And now, recent projections are showing a growth rate of 2.7%. Despite the challenges, our fiscal policy has been delivering the ongoing anchored objective, which is to strengthen public debt sustainability by delivering a sustained declining path for the public debt to GDP ratio, while promoting macroeconomic stability and economic recovery over the medium term. And we are on track. And AFDB has been a great working partner, facing with us all the challenges and supporting the country in a reasonable way. To conclude, Angola hopes to continue its long term partnership with the African Development Bank in order to address ever growing difficult global challenges and achieve strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth and poverty reduction. Honorable Governors and President of the African Development Bank, thank you very much for your time.